Hey folks, let's talk about how money actually gets laundered. What are the mechanics of laundering dirty cash for, say, like Deutsche Bank or JP Morgan? There are billions and billions, even trillions that they've laundered for the world's worst criminal networks, the narco traffickers, the human traffickers, and the terrorists. How is it precisely that Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan Chase and people like Select Portfolio Services and all these big title insurance companies, how do they use subprime mortgages and predatory foreclosures to change filthy, dirty money into what appears to be legitimate mortgages? And then, of course, they go through the predatory foreclosure process, changing the filthy, dirty money into a real estate asset, a hard asset. They change the paper contracts, the helicopter quantitative easing fiat paper and ink money. They change it into a hard real estate asset through this money laundering game that they play. Now, the murder of that federal judge up in New Jersey is where Gerald Cugno and that gang at Pioneer Mortgage Funding, Premier Mortgage Funding, and Paramount Mortgage Funding, that's where they got their start with people like Jeffrey Epstein and Epstein and Associates. And Epstein and Associates' relationships with Deutsche Bank and how it's connected to the murder of the family of this federal judge. Now, you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that I was living in the middle of uptown Houston during the days of Iran-Contra, when the Khashoggis and the Gabanafars and Oliver North and Secord and Poindexter and my good old buddy from Glens Falls, Bud McFarland, were running the weapons trafficking financing, the funding, the weapons, the money pipeline, if you will, for George Bush's, the CIA's, and Ronald Reagan's secret Iran-Contra operations. That's where I first started shutting down thousands of banks and savings and loans. I said that correctly. So when the FBI watches this video, they'll understand that I actually built the suite for George and Barbara Bush at the Houstonian Estates. I worked over at Interfin and in the Galleria and at Transco Tower and in the hotel at the Galleria when North and Secord and his buddies used to come to Houston to take up their secret collections for the operations of Iran-Contra. And that's just historical reality, and the FBI can't change that story. And this attorney, Trey Gowdy, and John Baxter over at Nelson and Mullins, they can't change this story either. They can try all they want to. They're not going to keep a lid on this. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States has once again been so financially raped, it's beyond belief. All Donald Trump and his administration did was they made America destitute again. They ran the financial system straight into the ground. And, the only way they were able to save it is turn the printing presses up on turbine super speed and start printing helicopter money out the butt. All the stimulus money that Mnuchin and Powell have created is nothing more than out of thin air quantitative easing. But let's get back to laundering money for Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan through, Deutsche Bank. How is it that the predatory subprime mortgages and the predatory subprime foreclosures were used to change filthy, dirty money into hard real estate assets to churn and sell again and sell again and sell again and sell again? Just like in the used car and truck markets. They churn these real estate parcels and make gazillions of dollars doing it. Legal fees, tax, the tax collectors are in this up to their eyeballs. All over the nation, these real estate schemes and real estate scams, you can learn all about it in The Great American Laundry. Also, you can look it up under Trillions Looted Real Estate Fraud. And then one of my favorite ones, I made up this term so everyone would know that it's me. Toxic zombie developments. It's all one word. I made it all one word so it would stand out and be my mark and trade. Toxic zombie developments. And so that the director of FBI and the Justice Department there, what's his name there? It'll come to me here in a second. Barr and Christopher Wray at FBI. I guess it's William Barr. They're the Attorney General of the United States. So you can understand it, ladies and gentlemen. The massive real estate schemes and scams that were associated with the savings and loan crisis in the 1980s in Houston and Dallas and San Antonio, all over Texas, Austin, and all over Florida and all over California and all over New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Those real estate schemes and scams were exposed by this guy right here. That's the historical fact of it, folks. And William Barr and Christopher Wray, you can put that in your pipes and smoke it with Donald Trump. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, I'm 100% correct, and the history books prove it. Real estate scheming and scamming and laundering huge amounts of money with Deutsche Bank and people like Gerald Cugno of Pioneer, Paramount, and Premier Mortgage Funding. That's just one. And we can move over to the Farkas clan, the old Farkas Mafia, Andrew Farkas and Lee Farkas, and all the other Farkases in the real estate scheming and scamming business. And it goes on from Penny Pritzker at Superior Bank to Bill and Hillary Clinton. You see, Castle Grande and Whitewater were speculative, toxic zombie developments. So folks, I'm going to tell you this right now. When I contacted FBI and I was trying to explain to them about the significance of Deutsche Bank and laundering money and how they do it, they hung up on me. They didn't want to hear the story. They literally hung up on me in the first 90 seconds of a conversation. 90 seconds, and they hung up. So I called them back and I told them that, well, they're going to get exposed because they don't want the truth out in America. They do not want the truth out about all these predatory foreclosures and all this money laundering that JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank and Select Portfolio Services and WAMU, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. All the way back to Purple Capital and the Western Bank and Westgate Investments and Rita Lababetti Group. They're at the old Western Bank in the heart of Iran-Contra. The heart of Iran-Contra and the Triad Development Mafia in uptown Houston. You know, during Iran-Contra, when North and Secord would come to the Galleria Hotel in Houston and take up their secret collections right next door to the Western Bank, ladies and gentlemen. So this is Judson Witham's story, and, well, check out the history and you'll find out that old Judd Witham nailed it in the first place. I've been right about these giant money laundering machines. William Barr, Christopher Wray, and all your FBI agents need to understand something. Old Judson Witham knocks it out of the park. Home run, baby. Yep. How to launder trillions using predatory subprime mortgages and predatory subprime foreclosures. The big real estate money laundering machine at Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan Chase. And that's for the history books at FBI and Justice Department. And old Donnie Trump, guess what? I built skyscrapers too, pal. Y'all have a wonderful day, and as always, hasta la vista, God bless, and you bet your ass we're coming back.